いやあ、リカちゃんが日曜日以外に診療所にいらっしゃるなんて珍しいですね。
How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 7. So, the last few episodes or so, we found from Rika's perspective, or actually, not even Rika's perspective, it was Keiichi's perspective, but everybody was together, that Keiichi isn't the only one that's been having these memories from other worlds, basically the previous chapters, where other events occurred and also tragedy occurred. And they're using these memories, these dreams, to basically prevent the tragedies subconsciously or unconsciously. So we're heading into a direction where these things theoretically should not be happening that we saw in the previous chapters. But, of course, we should probably continue to stay vigilant, make sure that nothing will happen. And in the last episode specifically, Rika was trying to figure out how to avoid her fate. Is it something that can even be avoided? Because as we've talked about in the beginning of the game, there are some events that occur no matter what, such as Tomitake and Takano's deaths, which seems to be the big trigger, which makes sense for Rika to be vulnerable. So we're going to confide in Dr. Irie and see what will happen from that, if anything.
高野とお話ししたいことがありますのです。今日はいますですか？
いえ、多分リサさんとデートじゃないでしょうか。
Who?
いやいや、お羨ましい。
どうしてリサなのですか？よくわからない名前なのです。
It's probably Tomitake.
それは本人に聞いてみてください。初対面の時のちょっとした認識ミスなんですがね。その時の先方の対応がとても面白かったもので。
I don't get it. And that's what nicknames are all about, though.
どんなご用件ですか？伝言でよければ今夜ミーティングがありますから、その席上で伝えておきますよ。
ありがとうなのです。でも直接言いますのでいいのですよ。
そうですか。わかりました。では、私は書類事務に戻ります。
Are we not going to talk to him?
今日は入江は診察はしていないですか？
今夜のミーティングの資料作りで大忙しです。普段から準備はしているんですがね、日々の本業に圧迫されてなかなか時間がなんていうと準備がなってないと怒られてしまいますね。
それに加えて野球までやっているのですから、つくづく入江は元気だなと思いますです。
He's still young. Well, you know what? I was going to use the argument of when you're a young adult, you have plenty of energy, but I'm a young adult, and I feel like I have nothing.
本当に忙しいですよ。家事や秘書を代行してくれる可愛いメイドさんを常時募集中なのですが、なかなか応募がありません。
Oh yeah, what a struggle. He laughed and looked at his watch. He seemed to be in a hurry.
高野たちはどこへ行っているか想像はつきますですか？
村の中をいろいろと回るだろうと思います。ああ、でもいつも待ち合わせは神社の境内なんだそうですよ。高野さんは半ドンで帰られましたから、ひょっとするとまだ境内にいるかもしれませんね。
I looked at the clock on the wall. I must have just missed her. This was no time to be chatting with Irie.
ありがとうなのですよ。神社に戻ってみますです。
年に4度しかない仰せなんですから、あまり邪魔をしない方がいいと思いますよ。
He smiled mischievously and waved his hand in goodbye. How to be young and in love, or whatever it is. I headed back to the shrine. I was going to park my bike by the stairs that led to the shrine grounds. Sadako and I are the only people who park our bikes there normally, but I saw more than 10 bikes there today. People must be gathering at the convention room. There are more and more meetings with when the Watanagashi festival draws closer. Seeing all these bikes reminded me that summer is nearly here. Most of the bikes were old and beat up. However, I saw two unfamiliar ones parked there. They were sporty mountain bikes with the same design but different colors. They must belong to Takano and Tomitake. I went up to the stairs to look for the two of them, but I couldn't find either. Was there any place with a great view for taking pictures? I tried looking in places like that, but I still couldn't find them. So I started looking based on what Takano might be interested in. I could only think of one place. Oh boy. Yep, here we go.
どう？次郎さん。
うん。シンプルなタイプだと思うよ。道具があれば、多分1分とかからないよ。
さすがね。次郎さんが得意なのは心の奥の錠前外しだけじゃないのね。
たたりじゃー。
The two of them jumped in surprise as I suddenly appeared in front of them.
あら、リカちゃん。急に脅かすなんて人が悪いわね。
Now, it's not nice of you trying to break and enter.
開かずの細工殿の鍵を
Yeah,
開
there
け
you
ちゃおう
go.
とする人の方がもっと悪いのです。
あダメだよ、高野さん。やっぱり悪いことはするもんじゃないよ。
Tomitake conceded right away, but Takano was stubborn. She made up excuses to try and fool me. Based on my previous lives, I knew just how much interest she had in this storehouse. It was actually rather impressive how hard she tried to cover that up. The ritual storehouse is full of the remainder of the dark history of Onigafuchi. It contains bloody and vicious tools that Takano is fascinated with. She should have a good idea as to what those things are inside of the storehouse, or as to what those things are. Is that what I said? I think that's what I said, based on what she has been researching. She was making up some story about cultural treasures and such, but it was obvious that she was just making excuses. Tomitake also seemed impressed, listening to Takano's phony justifications. In the past, I've tried to conceal what was inside of the storehouse from Takano because I don't want her spreading information about the holy and brutal traditions they used to have in Onigafuchi village. It would be a disgrace. As a member of the Furude family, I can't let that happen. Looking at the history of Onigafuchi in the way Takano does is a painful thing for Hanyu as well. For Hanyu, the ritual storehouse is a special place. I don't know what's so nice about being surrounded by those scary ritual tools, but she feels cozy when she's surrounded by the smell of old times. This storage is like Hanyu's hideout. When I can't see her, she's usually relaxing in there. I don't want Hanyu's happy place to be turned into the bloody, horrifying den of evil Takano believes it to be. And that's why I've been keeping Takano away from the ritual storehouse. Come to think of it, why am I so mean to her? Is it because I hate her? I should stop feeling that way. I have to keep in close contact with Takano and Tomitake. I won't give up just because it didn't work before. I'm going to try one more time. This world is different from the others. I might be able to change their fate, which in turn might change my own.
羽生、高野に細工殿の中を見せてあげようと思うの。
Hanyu made an irritated face. Takano will lose herself in ecstasy if she sees what's inside of there. She'll run around spreading rumors of the bloody history of Onigafuchi. Hanyu wasn't too excited about that prospect.
高野にごまをするわけじゃない。でも話を聞いてもらうきっかけにはなるんじゃないかと思うの。高野は根に持つから、ここで意地悪をすると、私の話をちゃんと聞いてくれないかもしれない。
I mean, who even believes her as is? Just tell her, like, no photography and she can write down notes about whatever and then she can go on her usual rantings about what's going on with the history of the village, which nobody will really pay attention to. Just like in the last chapter. Oh my god. UFOs, am I right? But yeah, I think it'd be a good way to maybe try and get her to listen. Like, hey, I'll show you what's inside, but you need to take me seriously. That might be the problem here. Also, I'm pretty sure it was Hanyu that was making the noise that Shion heard back in chapters 2 and 5, and the presence that maybe she felt. Because if this is Hanyu's special place, she'd probably throw like a little tantrum and start banging on stuff to try and like show how frustrated she was. they kind of just make sense. I understand that Hanyu doesn't want her inside this holy place, but she can't do anything more than to be irritated about it, and I'm the only one who can make the ultimate decision. Besides, she'll forgive me if I promise to eat something sweet later.
高野、もしも約束を守ってくれるのでしたら、中に入れてあげてもいいのですよ。
本当に？祭具殿の中よ。中は中でも防災倉庫の中とかはなしよ。
本当ですよ。ちゃんと祭具殿の中なのですよ。
祭具殿ってここよ。この建物の中なのよ。
別にごまかす気はありませんですよ。ちゃんとこの中に入れてあげますです。みぱー。にぱー。
Yeah. I had never seen such a big face on her face, or a big smile on her face before. Wow, that caught me off guard. What really caught me off guard was this game utilizing, I guess it's Japanese characters, one of the kanas, just to make a face. You know what people are always doing, right? If it's not an emoji, and if it's not a colon and a parenthesis, it's one of those, you know? It's a classic. Now this is a miracle. I'm seeing this face for the first time in 100 years. Tomitake must be feeling the same way. His image of Takano was slowly falling apart as we spoke, I'm sure. And no, maybe he just found a new side of her to love instead.
高野って結構面白い人だったのでびっくりなのです。
Yeah, she's something.
やっぱりコミュニケーションって大事ね。人を知るのってつくづく難しいと思い知るわ。
We remained there and watched Takano spinning in delight for a while.
中には内緒で入れるのですから他の人に見つかってはいけませんですよ。
ああ、そうだよね。高野さんを正気に戻しておくよ。
僕はその間に鍵を持ってきますです。
Huh. Alright, well hopefully this all works out in some sort of beneficial way for us. By the time I came back with the key, Takano was totally calm again. She was obviously trying to hide how gleeful she was, though. I thought she was a mature lady, but she might still be a kid at heart. I think they called that something like gap moe. Is that what that means? I've heard that before. I picked that term up at some point from Keiichi, but I'm not sure how it's used.
では高野、富武、中に入る前にいくつか約束がありますです。ちゃんと誓ってくれないとダメなのです。
もちろんよ。開かずの祭具殿を古出家当主が自ら開けてくれる金を犯すのだもの。約束は守るわ。
ダメだよ高野さん。ちゃんと真面目にやらなきゃ。
失礼ね。私はとても真面目よ。
僕の中の高野のイメージが今大変なことになっていますのです。
Oh, no worries, Hanyu. My image for her fell apart like chapters ago.
私もよ。高野の株価が世界恐慌で大暴落って感じ。
Ren has said it before. It's not a good idea to think about problems all on your own. I always hated that crazy part of Takano, and I didn't want to be close to her. But I never thought that she could act this way. She was acting almost like Rena does when in her cute mode. Had I known that she was as funny a person as this, I wouldn't have felt resentment toward her. I realize how important communicating can be.
まず祭具殿へ入ったことは内緒なのですよ。誰にも教えてはいけませんです。
もちろんよ。誓うわ。
Takano put her hands to her chest. She also forced Tomitake to do the same. It was funny to watch Tomitake trying to keep up with Takano too.
中はとても大切な場所ですから、怪我したり傷つけたりしちゃダメなのです。
もちろん分かってるわ。それで撮影は可能なの？
可能ですが、1枚100円なのですよ。
Hell yeah, we're gonna make money now.
次郎さん、あなた今いくら持ってるかしら？
1万円払うとお得な1日取り放題券になりますです。
安い。払うわ。次郎さん。
They paid me the money for real. Hanyu seemed excited knowing that the money could be used for buying desserts.
高野はとてもいい人なのです。あんたも現金ね。
Yeah, her whole demeanor here changed. Instead of like, oh man, they're coming into my sacred area, it's like, oh hey, $100. Let's go get dessert. I finally got approval from Oyashiro-sama, the master of the storehouse. We'd have no more problems now. The ritual storehouse is behind the building with the convention room. Sometimes people come out for a cigarette break. I can't let anybody see us entering.
大丈夫。誰もいないよ。
Tomitake checked out the scene and gave me the signal to go ahead. I nodded at him and unlocked the door. I pushed open the heavy door just far enough for us to sneak inside.
富武が表で待っていると不審に思われますです。
え？僕も入るのかい？
He seemed surprised that I was asking him to come inside with us. Tomitake, of course, wasn't particularly interested in what was inside the storehouse. I expected his surprised reaction.
次郎さん、リカちゃんが入れって言ってるのよ。早く入って。
ああ、わかったよ。
Tomitake squeezed inside as Takano urged him. I turned the light on and closed the door. And then I put the chain on from inside.
厳重なのね。
錠前が外れていることに気づいた悪い猫さんが入ってくると困りますのです。
This speak again.
悪い猫さんで申し訳ないわね。
高野、猫は猫らしくニャーニャー鳴かないとダメなのですよ。ニパー。
それはどういうことかしら？
高野がちゃんと猫さんじゃないと見せてあげないのです。ちゃんと鈴付き首輪
Oh
と
my
猫耳も
God.
持ってきましたですよ。これをつけて四つん這いになってニャーニャー言ってくれなかったら次の扉を開けてあげませんです。
The shrine storehouse has 2 doors so that people can't see inside when the first door is opened. At that moment, we were inside the entry chamber. The real storehouse is in the room beyond.
え？リカちゃんもきついな。
I really hate to break it to you, Tomitake. It's not a joke.
いくらなんでもそんなの。
ええ、それが試練ならやるわ。これはリカちゃんが私の知的探求心がどれだけ一途で高貴か試しているのよ。いいわ。あなたが望むなら猫耳と尻尾付きで四つん這いになって前足で顔を洗いながらご主人様大好きだにゃーだって言ってみせる。
Okay, well, this is going in a really weird direction.
高野ってみんなと同じくらいの年だったらきっと部活メンバーに混じっていたと思いますのです。
I mean, yeah, she's weird enough for it.
そうね。ほら、世界恐慌の時ウォール街で紙切れになった株券が雪のように舞ったというじゃない。なんかそういう感じよ、高野の株。
さあさあリカちゃん、猫耳と首輪だけでいいの？
高野さん、そもそもこの扉鍵なんかないよ。ほら、押せば開く。
そうなの？あら嫌だ。私ったらみっともない。
Tomitake has no sense of humor. He just turned off a lot of viewers who were looking forward to seeing Takano in the cat outfit.
と、冗談はこのくらいにして押せば開きますのです。ニパー。
Once we went through the door, we found ourselves inside the storage area. There were no windows in there, so it was completely dark, even during the day. There were several light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, but they were dim, and their light only exaggerated the darkness inside. Oyashiro-sama's statue and the altar dominated the center of the room. They were surrounded by tons of ancient torture implements. They were all over the floor, walls, and ceiling. It looked like a torture room rather than just storage for tools intended for one.
これはすごいね。
Tomitake was rendered speechless. They were nothing like those fake torture implements that they might have seen in a wax museum or someplace like that. The tools in this room are genuine articles. I never like to think about it, but I'm sure some of them really were used. These authentic tools always have a big impact on the people who see them. But Tomitake was the only one who was shocked, since he was the only normal person in the room. Takano's eyes were sparkling. She was taking pictures while meowing like a cat. This place isn't special to me. Of course, I know I'm not supposed to treat it like, I know that I'm supposed to treat it as a holy place, but I'm so used to seeing all these things after coming here countless times since I was little. To me, it's nothing but a storehouse with a lot of old stuff inside. As for Hanyu, she says it's the only place the air from times past lingers in this present day, so she actually finds it comforting. I get in, excuse me, goddamn. I get in a good mood when I come here because Hanyu gets in a good mood. This is a relaxing place for her, and as I watch Tomitake's reaction, I notice how totally off my values are from normal people's. Takano's reaction seems more natural to me in a sense. Hanyu seemed to be bothered by Tomitake's reaction too. Maybe it was a bad idea to let him come inside after all. Not like I could kick him out at this point. Hanyu and I sat on a cushion in front of the altar and watched Takano dance with childish glee while Tomitake made touching efforts to keep up.
どうしてこんなにもたくさんの拷問道具を作ったんだろうね。だって拷問というのは相手を屈服させるのが目的じゃないのかい？
Or for fun.
こんなにいくつもおびただしい数や種類がどうして必要だったんだろう。
次郎さん、拷問道具には2つの脅し方があるのを知ってるかしら？一つは使用して相手を痛めつけることで効果を発揮するもの。もう一つは使用するぞ、使用したらものすごい痛いぞと脅迫するためのものなの。
Or do what Shio did back in chapters 2 and 5 and throw Mion into one of those torturous devices, which in that case was just a jail cell. If you even want to call that a torturous device, and have her witness somebody else on the other torturous device. Not that, well, you know what, that's kind of a bad example. We're not trying to get anything out of Mion. And actually, you know what, in a way that is torture. Watching as somebody close to her, you know, get injured from one of the other devices. And in a way, it's a torturous device. Not my main point. I don't know where I'm going with this.
そういう意味では、いろいろ物騒な拷問道具がたくさん取り揃えてある光景は、それだけで脅迫的意味を持つものだったのよ。
I don't know. I guess we'll just give the point to Takano.
ね、確かに拷問というのは実は高度な技術が必要だというような話は聞いたことがあるよ。程よく痛めつけてかつ殺さないというのは確かに加減が難しいことかもしれないね。
Tomitake acted like he's having a conversation with Takano, but his voice was obviously unsteady.
西洋の拷問道具の中にはやたらと装飾型で実際に使用すれば痛めつける以前にあっさりと殺してしまいかねない。ある意味拷問道具としては構造欠陥のあるものが少なくないのよ。まあ拷問道具も厳密には屈服を目的とする被験者を対象にした純粋な拷問道具と見せしめや娯楽を目的とする観覧者を対象にした虐殺道具に分かれるんだけど。
Oh, you know what? I think that was actually brought up whenever in chapters 2 and 5 we were in the Sonozaki torture room that looks, you know, like this. There was like an area for people to just watch. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
これを混同して誤解している人が多いのが嘆かわしいわね。
じゃあ、昔の人たちは何を屈服させようとしていたんだい？
Tomitake asked me that. He must have thought that Takano would say something far more scary if he asked her. He's forgetting that I'm just a little innocent girl.
私は鬼ヶ淵村の独自の戒律を厳重に守らせるためだったと思ってるんだけど、正解？
正解なのです。これらの細具は実際に使用するためでなく、むしろ展示して村人を怖がらせて戒律を遵守させることを主眼に置いたものだと言われてますです。だから実際にこれらの道具を使う時になってサイズが合わなかったり構造的に欠陥があったりで満足に使用できなかったという話も結構残っていますのです。
So maybe not much torturing was actually done.
でも、実際に使用することもあったんだろう？やっぱり穏便な話じゃないね。
戒律を守らないとお社様のたたりがあるだけでは
ねえ、
Oh, sorry about that,
リカちゃん。
Rika.
ではこれらの道具は基本的に村人を威圧するために用意されているのかしら？本当の意味での綿流しの時、食人の宴に使った調理解体道具だっていう説があるんだけど。
Hanyu was making a frustrated face. She didn't want to remember the dark history of Onigafuchi village. People performed countless torture ceremonies in front of her, claiming that they were doing it in her name, the name of a Yashiro-sama. She asked them not to do that, but no one was able to hear or see her.
ノーコメントなのですよ、ニパー。
高野さんによく僕も聞かされるよ。大昔の鬼ヶ淵村の人たちは神様のお告げがあると麓に降りて人をさらって食べてしまったんだろう？どうしてそんなことをしたんだろう？これもまた麓の人々に対する何かの見せしめなのかい？
私はそこはおそらく食物連鎖で人間よりも優位にあることを自覚するためにやった。鬼ヶ淵村が外部との交流を禁ずる最大の建前が、自分たちは仙人で村は聖地。汚らわしい人間と交流すると汚れを持ち込む。そういうふうに言われてた。だから定期的に自分たちは人間以上の存在であることを自覚し直す必要があったんじゃないかしら。
日本にも晒し首があったしね。見せしめは非人道的ではあるけど抑止効果は極めて大だったというわけだ。
見せしめの犠牲者がひどい方法で拷問されて絶命する。そんなのを見せつけられたら絶対に自分はああされたくないって誰もが思うわよね。日本には晒し首だけでなく貼り付けだってあったでしょ。処刑場に高々と死刑囚を貼り付けにして観衆の前で恥ずかしめられながら長槍でブスブスと刺されるのよ。二郎さんもわかると思うけど、槍でほんの一月二月された程度じゃ人は絶命なんてできない。
Oh, but they can be.
腹部や胸部を貫かれればそれは十分に致死的なことではあるけれど、ギロチンなんかのようにきれいさっぱり死ねるわけじゃないのよ。血がブクブクとあふれ出し、腹からは腸を引きずり出されて肺に血がたまり、最後には自らの血で溺れ死ぬ。
Or shock.
そんな緩慢な死を思えばギロチンなんて人道的な発明よね。そうそう、知ってる？ギロチンってね、貴族のために生み出されたんですってよ。銃殺や絞首刑よりももっともっときれいにあっさりすっぱりと死ねるように生み出した死の際まで特別扱いしてもらえる貴族のための処刑道具。
Why is she really fixated on this?
フランス革命末期の恋愛を描いたなんとか物語っていう白黒映画があるんだけど、ラストのギロチンシーンは圧巻よ。 観衆の嘲笑を浴びながら数珠つなぎの貴族たちが一列に並ばされて、次々と一台のギロチンで処刑されていくの。ちょん、はい次ちょん、はい次ちょん。人間の死がわずか一瞬でベルトコンベヤーの上の工場生産のように量産されていく。
Okay, real talk. What does he see in her?
神父のお祈りも最後に言い残す言葉も何もなしよ。ちょん、はい次ちょん。もうそんな一瞬の死じゃ見せ物にならないからね。誰も個人の死に感情を抱かない。観衆は一人の死を見てるんじゃなくて、何十人もの貴族が長ネギをスライサーで削っていくみたいに、手際よくちょんちょんちょんと跳ねていく。そのちょんちょんの連続性をショーとして面白がるわけ。それに比べたら、一人の人間をじっくりいじめ殺す方がよっぽど個人を尊重しているとは思わない？そんな濃密な死と拷問で飾り立てられたのがこのお社様という存在なわけ。
Takano raises her hand to honor the statue of Oyashiro-sama.
お社様という存在は結局人間が生み出した偶像なの。その偶像は恐怖で祭り上げられることで神聖化した。そう、人が法則や戒律で石垣を組み上げ、呪いやたたり、奇跡や恐怖の漆喰でそれを固める。それらを積み上げて積み上げて、雲の上にまで届く高みを作り、その上に立てられるのが神という存在なの。神は人が欲するゆえに人が生んだ人の手による存在。つまり人が人を恐怖で支配しようと思った時に生まれる純粋な恐怖と血と拷問の結晶。それがここではお社様という存在になるのよ。つまり神の世界へ至る階段は神ではなく人の手で作られていたことの証左であり、私たち人間をさらなる高みへ誘う指針を示して。
Her passionate lecture was interrupted by a loud noise. As I looked back, Hanyu was jumping up and down with her eyes full of tears. Thud. 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 She was stomping the floor as hard as she could, making a loud noise instead of screaming out with her unheard voice. However, it all amounted to the same thing. Hanyu cannot be heard by people.
違うのです。違うのです。僕はそんなのじゃないのです。羽生。僕は人が死んだりとかいじめられたりとか、そんなのは嫌なのです。みんなで一緒に仲良く楽しく暮らしてくれればいいのです。もちろん僕たちが悪いところもいっぱいありますです。でもそんなのを望んだことなんて一度もないのです。
Nope, it's just people using her, or Oyashiro-sama, as an excuse to do it.
羽生は羽生よ。お社様なんてあなたとは関係のないことでしょう。違うのです。違うのです。高野は嫌いです。嫌いなのです。いつも僕のことをひどく言いますのです。ひどく言いますのです。言いますのです。
Was it a bad idea for me to bring Takano in here? I knew that Takano would get overstimulated and say something like this. Fortunately, Hanyu's rejection indirectly reached Takano, and she stopped lecturing. Somehow Tomitake had heard the noise that Hanyu made. He pressed his finger in front of his lips and told Takano to be quiet.
何事なの？
さっき子供が遠くで飛び跳ねるような音が聞こえたんだよ。この建物の周りで子供が遊んでいるのかもしれない。
そう？私には何の気配も感じないけれど。
いや、確かに聞こえたよ。高野さん、ここへはお忍びで入れてもらってるんだ。リカちゃんの立場にも配慮して、もう少し静かに見学しないと悪いよ。
Takano seemed disappointed, but Tomitake was right. She had no choice but to be quiet.
富武、周りに子供なんていませんですよ。
そうかい？リカちゃんには聞こえなかったかい？僕は確かに飛び跳ねるような音を聞いたんだけどな。
もちろん、僕も聞きましたですよ。遠くではなく、僕のすぐ後ろでドタンドタン跳ねていましたです。富武には遠くに聞こえたでしょうが、僕にはすぐ後ろだったので、うるさいくらいでしたですよ。
I was standing in front of the altar, and the statue of Ayashiro-sama was right behind me. Tomitake seemed freaked out after hearing what I just told him. Although he was trying to fake a smile, his face was turning pale. However, Takano didn't seem scared at all.
高野、西宮殿の中で、お社様を怒らせるようなことを言うのは禁止なのです。お社様がとても怒っていますのです。その声が聞こえませんか？
It's fortunate that she can't, to be honest. Even if she heard it, it would be nothing but tears. My job as a shrine maiden to begin with is to tell humans what Oyashiro-sama is feeling. I'm responsible for speaking on Hanyu's behalf. Takano must have realized that I was very serious about what I just said. She apologized to me right away.
ごめんなさい。いささか調子に乗りすぎたわ。お社様もごめんなさい。人が崇めればそれは神。たとえ私が崇めなくても神聖は侵されない。面白半分に冒涜したことを謝るわ。
お社様は甘いものが大好きなのです。僕を経由してお供えしないとたたりがありますですよ。
Tomitake couldn't help but smile. Takano also smiled. She bowed to me, promising to bring over some cream puffs soon. Takano finally stopped saying bad things about Oyashiro-sama. She also promised to bring me something sweet. Hanyu was still upset, but she was probably satisfied for the moment. But I didn't know what she meant by the 3 fingers she was showing me. Was she telling me to ask Takano for that too? Being her shrine maiden is not an easy thing.
お社様はシュークリームは最低でも3つ欲しいと言ってますですよ。僕が食べたいわけではないので誤解しないでほしいのです。
They took it as a joke I made to reduce the tension. Tomitake and Takano cracked up, holding their stomachs. Hanyu was looking at them with surprise, not knowing why they were laughing. My face, meanwhile, was turning red with embarrassment.
わかったわ。お社様のためにおいしいシュークリームを3つ買ってくるわね。リカちゃんやさとこちゃんの分もいくつか買った方がいいのかしら？
いえ、僕の分はいいのです。その代わり、どうしても聞いてもらいたい話がありますのです。
何かしら？今日は西宮殿に入れてもらえるというわがままを聞いてもらえたんだから、それに見合うわがままには答えるつもりよ。
Oh, exactly what we needed to hear.
僕が今から話すことを絶対に信じてほしいのです。どうしてとか、そんなバカなとかはなしなのです。だから絶対に信じて運命に打ち勝って私を助けてほしいのです。
Both of them are surprised to see such a serious look on my face. I was sure they'd be surprised. After all, I was about to explain to them that they were going to die in 2 days. I'm sure they'd want to deny that, but I knew a fair bit about their deaths. If I could explain it to them in detail, they wouldn't be able to laugh it off. I talked to them about it in several times in previous lives, but they never took it seriously. I only had that slight possibility that they might believe me. Hopefully the possibility is as small as a miracle. It should be engraved on the side of a die. My friends overcame their fates, and they all rolled a 6. Should I call that a miracle? Please God, let me roll a 6 again. Please let them believe that death is upon them. But will anything be able to be done about it? That's sort of the goal here, is to tell them, sure, but to make sure that they're able to change their fate. A fate that, based on one of the rules that we stated in the beginning of this chapter, just could not be adjusted. It's just how it is. Alrighty, we're gonna end the episode here. I'm actually very surprised with myself that I did not call it halfway through and just recorded the rest of this the next day. I'm, if you guys could not tell, not feeling well, but it's just changing of the seasons, and allergies suck, and I think it's just that. And there might be more recording sessions where I'm like that. It's possible. The air is totally fucked, and with me trying to go outside and exercise, you know, it's just I'm gonna be at risk for it. So it is what it is. But hopefully the commentary was okay, and I didn't sound too much like a piece of shit. But you know, hopefully it's the norm. So shitty as usual, but not too shitty. Let's roll with that. I like that. But yeah. Thank you all for watching this episode. I'd say it was pretty interesting. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.